start the class today then. Okay, let me share the screen with you guys. Okay. So last time we talked about breath meditation, and this one here. Yeah. Back here. So again, breath meditation is one of the practice here, and peace. Later on we can talk about that, but now we focus on our meditation. So these are the subject of concentrations. So there's other things too. What they call the four Brahma Vihara, that's mean the four sublime practice. Metta, love and kindness. Karuna, that's mean compassion. Mudita, that's the pilot and the sacred. Mudita, that's mean appreciate joy. That's mean when you see people are successful, you have that joy with them instead of having jealousy. Opeka means equanimity. Yes, we have that kind of mind that we treat everyone equally. That's the meaning. Later on we can discuss, but now we focus on meditation. Right? So today I want to move on to what we call samatha. Samatha, that's mean calming, concentration, focus on single object to one pointness, produce mindfulness, concentration is we just focus on one. You should generate the mental power. When we really focus our mind on, that's what we call samatha. And the other one is what we call vipassana. Vipassana is like that's what the word come about mindfulness. Mindfulness means that a series of concentrations. Like I told you last time, we hold the flashlight, whichever we point the flashlight to, we see. So mindfulness practice in the way that, uh, let's say, while you cooking, you focus on your cooking. The food, while you eating, you focus your mind on eating. So you focus your mind each event or each activities. Instead of sitting there, you focus your mind on the breath. Hi, Vivian. How you been, Vivian?
I've been good. I had COVID really bad for a while, but now I'm better.
You feel better now?
A lot better.
Yeah, we're glad to hear that. Okay. So again, mindfulness. Whenever we focus our mind on some event, some object, um, that's called concentration. But when we move our mind to different event, different object, that is serious concentration. That is become mindfulness. Like while you walking, uh, you are in active mode, so you can focus on your walking. While you're driving, you focus on your driving. That's called mindfulness instead of thinking about other things. So at that time, you may not focus your mind on the driving alone because you may hear some sound, you may pay attention on the road and so forth. It's quite different from sitting. When you sit still, it's easy for you to focus on the breath. But when you are in active mode, right, it's easy for you to recognize the event, the object that you going through or you encounter. That's why you have the mindfulness there. And we recognize the true realities, produce concentration. Mindfulness is inclusive, provide direction of the mental power. So this is the function of the mindfulness, so that it helps you to pay attention of the event, the objects in different time frames. So without concentration, it's not easy for you to do mindfulness practice. Without anchor down your mind, it be confusion. Uh, like when you go to school, when you go to work, right? It's all kind of event, all kind of problems, all kind of activities that you need to pay attention on. But if at home, if you don't do practice meditation to refine your concentration, when you go out there, it's easy for you to be pulled away from those action and so forth. Um, so Elizabeth, you follow me? You understand the difference now?
Yes, thầy.
Mm. So remember, let's go back. Remember, we talked about um, walking, right? Walking meditation, right? We did that. Or you have used to computer, Vivian. Elizabeth, you know, remember we talked about walking meditation, right? Uh, and body scan, right? Remember, you did it for the children a lot, right?
Yes, thầy.
Mm. What the purpose of doing the body scan?
I think maybe doing the body scan would probably line up more with like the Vipassana meditation, where you try to guide, like for instance, the kids into thinking about the bodily functions that are going on that they might not be aware of in their daily life doing other things.
Mm-hmm. Again, okay, let me go back so you can recognize. So, Vivian, do you do any meditation when you're sick, or you don't have much energy to do meditation?
It was all that I did. I just laid there and did nothing.
No,
And I
be a
also,
time, right?
yeah, I went on YouTube and found like videos to listen to, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You so just most time just rest yourself, huh? Okay, good. Yeah, we're glad that you get back your strength now. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So let me move on. So that's why later on what we call uh, um, mindfulness, the four foundation of mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of your feeling, mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of the dharma. Dharma does mean everything.
That's what Father Joe's class. This is exactly what he's teaching
Oh,
in his class.
he
This is
teaches
it.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So
The
vipassana
That's-
of mindfulness.
yeah, that's the part.
Mhm.
So the first one was the awareness, and now the concentration.
Yeah.
And he teaches the four. That's what he's going to go through. Those four different ones.
Yeah.
First we learn meditation.
They just started another class. Well, no, I didn't learn meditation, so I started trying to learn meditation. I learned meditation here.
Okay. So you see connection now, thân thiền, right? Right. Mindfulness, the body first. Mindfulness, the feeling. Mindfulness of the mind. Mindfulness of the Dhamma. You see the levels. You see that. Then you understand the levels of mindfulness practice from your body to your feeling to your own mind and to everything. You see, you recognize us that levels.
I I'm mindful of my body, my feeling, my mind, but I wasn't be mindful of the Dharma.
Hmm. Dhamma does mean everything. We discuss about that later on.
That's strange that it's called Dharma. That throws me out.
That's
Called Dharma.
that's different from
Different word
that
completely.
the same word but different meanings. Dharma in Buddhism is mean the Buddha teaching, but Dharma in general form is mean everything.
Everything, like the whole world.
Everything is whether it's visible and invisible. That's called Dharma.
What about the mind? I understand the body and the feelings. What about the mind?
That's what we're talking about later on.
Okay.
Yeah. You see the step, Elizabeth?
Yes, thầy.
Can you recognize your own feeling without having some kind of mindfulness about your body? Can you have that?
I'm not sure. Maybe not, because I think if you're trying to build up your mindfulness, it'd probably be a lot easier to be in control of your body or be aware of your body more than your feelings. So you need to build it up step by step.
Yeah. Chánh thiền is possible if you don't have any kind of mindfulness about your body, but you can have mindfulness of your feeling. Can be possible?
I think I'm not quite sure, but it's I think it's better that we have mindful of the body and the feeling, but I can't think of the way that to answer that question.
How about you? Can it possible? without recognize what's going on in your body, can you be mindful of your feeling?
I think maybe they are connected. Maybe.
What do you think?
So this is kind of confusing to me, but this is how my teacher taught me. She says, so what I'll do is I'll come up with a situation that maybe feel uncomfortable in some way. And the first thing she'll tell me is, okay, where do you feel that in your body? And then I'll tell her wherever I feel it in my head or my arm, my leg, my gut, wherever. And then she'll say, okay, let's take it out and talk to it. And then you're talking to whatever feeling it is. And then from there, you can go even deeper underneath to figure out, different parts and protectors and stuff to figure out what's actually going on and heal parts within you. But she always, but now she's trying, it's to pull you back into your body so you can feel it. But if you don't, what I understand now is if you don't heal these parts and you don't pay attention to your feelings, and that's how you'll end up eventually getting sick. Because if you don't listen to what your parts are telling you, they'll get louder and louder and louder, and eventually you'll come up with an illness, is kind of my understanding of it.
Yeah, thank you. How about Vivian? You understand that, Vivian? You follow?
I feel like maybe I'm not as clear on like how they're interconnected or how to separate them. Yeah, because I think it might be interesting to try to separate feeling from your body sensation. And
can you separate
that?
Can you separate that?
I can think about it.
Really? About Elizabeth, they are interconnected and the trance, or you can separate the mindfulness of the body from the mindfulness of the feeling. What do you think?
I'm not sure, Tai.
Okay. And Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, Mo Phật Thầy, I think that the two is connecting together between your mind. It will control, it tell you how you feel it. That's how I think. Yeah, Mo Phật.
How about you, Thân Thiện? You see the connection there, Thân Thiện?
I think, yeah, Mo Phật Thầy, I think that when you're mindful of the body, you should have feeling. It's just like when you sit down and you meditate, and it's like when you hurt and when part of your body is hurt or sore, and you have a feeling there, or if you sitting down and you should feel something when you sit down, and when you lay your hand on the table, you should feel something.
Yeah, especially while you're sitting in meditation, to focus your mind on the breath, right? We discussed about 4 types of breath, I remember. Can you remember that?
Winded, uneven, ordinary, and subtle.
Yeah.
I've been practicing.
Let's say the last time, right? Probably the first time ever you sat for 45 minutes straight, right? How is your feeling when you sat that long? A bit different?
Calm.
I mean, that the physical body. You feel tired? You feel?
Oh yeah. Now after I did it several times in a row, I felt very tired. Very,
Mhm.
very tired.
Mhm.
So tired.
Yeah, and but while you're sitting there, did you have certain type of recognition of your own feeling? Whether it's good feeling, bad feeling, even when you really focus on your breath, but you still recognize it or not? The feeling, any kind of feeling.
Not too much. What I would recognize is I would recognize a story. So something.
Story, that's mean from your mind.
But that would translate into a feeling to me. So like whatever story I kept repeating, then I can tell, okay, I'm anxious. This story is making me anxious. So that's how I could kind of uncover the feelings. It's about the story whatever stories kept coming up.
So that is your internal script, right?
Mm-hmm.
It triggers your feeling.
Right.
Not the thing that while you sit there, when you follow your breath, you recognize, oh, I have a hard feeling, cold feeling, sensation. I have a good feel the energy flowing around my body. That's different, right?
Right.
So it means this may relate to the past experience, right?
Sure. Yes. Exactly.
That's just one part of feeling too. But the feeling here is that
like the internal feeling and the energy.
Right at that moment, not because of anything that trigger that feeling, but the present moment, the moment that you sat there. So that's
the only
why.
feeling I recognize then would just be peace.
What is that?
Just peace and calm as
Okay.
a feeling, but like as far as like feeling the flow through the body, I don't feel that.
No, that's the feeling there. The peace, that the peace, that the calmness, that's your feeling too. Because they connect with each other. When you calm your mind down, when you calm down your breath, yes, eventually your body and mind will be more relaxed and calm. And that moment you can recognize us when you count the breath or you hold the breath, whichever way. But that's your feeling. Or for example, let's say while you sit in, you at that moment you feel so calm, but suddenly someone slammed the door. You say, "Oh, come on." Right? That's your feeling too, right? Oh, that person obstruct my concentration. It's happened, right? So
but it's a feeling because of what's happening right now. Right now.
Okay. Not in the past, not because of anything trigger in the past, but now. That's what. Let me show you this one here. That's what we talk about, the feeling. So here the step.
Normally it would be just peace and calm unless something else happens.
Yeah, here the step. You have the breath in, posture, activity. It's connect together. While you concentrate on your mind, the breath. You sit there. You have some type of that's one the feeling here. This is more with the body. The next step is the feeling, and later on this is the mind and Dharma. That's what we talk about. Step by step here the body, right? The long breath, short breath. If you don't know your breath, if you're not aware of your breath, there's no way for you to aware of what's going on in your body. So when you aware of your body, you can be aware of your feeling without having any kind of awareness for the body. There's no way for you to be aware of the feeling. You have to do step by step. This is normal. This is normal. Okay, and the new feeling here is joy, happiness, mental formation. That's mean some thought domination pop up in your mind, right? That you can recognize, calm, mental formation later on. Let me move on. So this one here, this is chart you can see. This is the first for the body. That's why we just go with the flow. That's why we need to recognize the breath is the starting point for us to be mindful with our body. It will bring us back to our body, what's going on. And we don't need to pay attention on it. As well as we pay attention on the breath, eventually it will help us to be aware of what's going on in our sensation at the present moment.
That's what I just started doing more, or started doing here the past few days, is even just not when I meditate, but just even sitting here focusing on the
Yeah.
breath. I'm hearing you talk and I'm concentrating on what you're saying, but still focusing, and with the kids too. And it helps calm me down. You know,
Yeah.
before I ever have, just go back to the breath whenever anything.
Yeah.
All
So
the
that's
time.
why the breath is like an anchor. It can keep us here, right? Instead of we float our mind away everywhere. So that's what here the first one, and the feeling, the rapture. That means some kind of bliss, some kind of even some kind of disturbance, some kind of discomfort. Like when you sit there, right, for too long, you feel tired, you feel uncomfortable, you want to stand up, or even sometimes you sit there, you feel you connect yourself, your body with the ground, your breath with the air surrounding you, and so forth. That's a feeling, but it starts with the breath. So that's what the mindfulness, and later on put the mind. But that's if you just focus on your breath, you may not pay attention about that. That's fine too. So depend. You understand that? Depend on how skillful you are. If you just really focus your breath, you follow the pattern of your breath, that's more than enough, right? And so if you just recognize the cold air come into body and the warm air come out of the body, that's more than enough. Or if you just count your breath, uh, that's more than enough. But if, let's say, if you really concentrate on your mind, and later on you would have the kind of mindfulness with your feeling. You understand the difference? Elizabeth, you understand the difference?
Sorry, Tai, you have to say that again.
Okay, let's put it this way. You have the choice. You understand the samatha, that's been concentration, right? You understand the mindfulness, right? Okay, so you have a choice while you're sitting there while you do meditation. You have a choice. Either you concentrate your mind on the breath alone. You focus your mind on the breath solely. You understand that? That's one choice. Make sense? And when you sit there, you count your breath, you follow your breath. You don't pay attention about all the things, whether it's feeling good, bad, feeling calm. It doesn't matter. Just really focus your breath. That's one. Yeah, another choice is that yes, while you focus on your breath, you can recognize a sensation in your body. You can recognize your feeling. You can recognize or be aware of someone just moved his chair, and somehow it's pop up in your mind. Oh, I'm angry now. Why do they disturb my concentration, for example? So that's the part of mindfulness, not concentration. You follow me, Elizabeth?
Yes, Tai.
So mindfulness, that means you observe every event. That's what's going on, especially if it starts with the body. But you pay attention with that type of event, uh, uh, with your focusing or concentration. Make sense?
It makes sense, but how do you do it?
Huh?
It makes sense, but how do you do it?
The same way.
But if you can focus on the breath, that's easy. Or you can focus on, like, my legs fell asleep, so feel that. Or somebody does something and you hear that, that's easy. But as far as like focusing on the flow or focusing on feelings within your body, how do you do that? Is that what you're?
No, that's depend upon how skillful you are.
Okay, so it just comes with time.
Yeah, it comes by time. Let's say if you really focus, if your mind is really sharp, right? Wherever you look at, you know what's going on. But before that, you need to sharpen your mind. You need to refocus your lens. It's like you use what do you call
Binoculars.
the what do you call that one?
A camera.
No, the camera.
Binoculars.
Yeah, you refocus your mind wherever you move that around. That's why they're helpful. They complement each other. They support each other. Right? So if you just focus on the breath alone, you would not pay attention much about all the feeling, even the activity of your mind. But if you move your mind, to the practice of mindfulness, to be mindful, to be observable of everything, eventually you recognize. You understand that? Let's put it this way. So the analogy is that like okay, here the cup of water. Okay, you take a cup of water from the mud or the pool, right? And so when you put that cup of water, yes, you have the mud on the top. That you have the mud there, have the muddy water first, right? But later on, let's say you keep that cup of muddy water for a while. Let's say 1 hour, even a day, all the particles will be sailed out. So the first part of that 1 day is like concentration. You sailed out all of the dust, all of the confusion, all of the discarding mind. You focus on one. Understand that? So the next step is you see through. That's when you use some filter to take out the mud, to take out the dirt, the particles. You see through, oh, that's the dirt. I need to delete them. I need to filter out. So that's the second step. That's called mindfulness. So they support each other. Right. Thang Thiền, you understand that? You recognize us?
Yes, Thầy.
If you just focus and you don't have some type of mindfulness, you would not enrich your wisdom much. That's what I mean. But if, okay, let's say put it this way, like while you're driving the car on the road, you see all kind of picture, all kind of image, and all kind of sound and so forth. It's confusion.
It's the worst. I think the worst thing to do, really.
Yeah, that's confusion, right?
Yeah.
But that at that moment you cannot observe. You can observe things clearly. You need to calm your mind. When you calm your mind, that means samatha. That means concentration. When you calm your mind already, let's say we sit here, people walk back and forth, or the car pass by you, or whoever pass by you, you recognize, much clear. Make sense? So again, depend. This depend on your skill of meditation. It's just take time to recognize that. Yeah, let me move on here. So that's why it's go step by step in that kind of progress. This is the same thing here. Okay, so again, this is just the calming, steady, composed, unified, concentrated mind. See that? But therefore, the insight that means enables you to explore, to recognize, to see things as the way they are. If you don't concentrate your mind enough, if you don't focus your mind enough, there's no way for you to be observer. But if you want to observe without concentration, you can't. So they complement, they support each other. So okay, if that's okay here that's what just mean mindfulness. Sati, that means remember, recollect, remind, retrospect. You pay attention to that, you remember that, you recognize us. That's called mindfulness, sati. And again, it starts with the body. You started the body, you have the sensation of your body, sensation. Now remember, so don't mess up between concentration and mindfulness, okay? So now, let's say, if you really focus on the breath, and if your mind calm enough at that moment, okay, you don't pay attention about your breath anymore. You pay attention about your sensation, your feeling in your body. Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So step by step. And when you have that kind of sensation, okay, at that moment you recognize, I sit on the chair too long. I feel uncomfortable. I want to stand up. For example, that is your feeling. You recognize. Or you say, I could recognize that my body connect with the chair connect with the ground, and so forth. That's called mindfulness. You see things clear as the way they are. You don't use any thought to analyze things. You were aware, you be aware of them, but not using your thinking to analyze. When you use your thinking to analyze, that's not mindfulness. Make sense, Vivian? You understand between the mindfulness and analytical thinking? You recognize that's different? How it's different?
So I think you were saying with mindfulness thinking is to like see things for how they are rather than trying to analyze it with your like thinking mind.
Okay, why you understand that?
Yes, kind of.
What's different between using analytical thinking and the mindfulness of things, or be aware of things? What's the difference?
Mindfulness is like, is it like being aware of the things in your mind, and then mindfulness analysis is like when you're the process where you're trying to forget about them and calm your mind.
How about Elizabeth? Can you give one example, the difference between them? When do you use analytical thinking and when you use mindfulness?
So this is actually something that we brought up, like a similar example in my drawing class, where when you first get into drawing, a lot of the times people will try to draw what they think they see. And so, for example, like for beginners, we'll draw something like a chair or like a stool. And so people in their minds, when they're first thinking about it, this is more of the, I guess, concentration analytical thinking where, oh, this is a stool. There's a circle on the top. There are like 4 legs. There are, I guess, beams in between the legs. That's what I see. But when you become a little bit more experienced with drawing, then you start realizing that, oh, that's not really a circle, or that's not really a square, or that's not really a rectangle that I think I see. And so there's a difference when you first get into it where you think you're drawing what you see. And so you have this idea or this ideal image in your head of what you're seeing. But as you become more experienced, and I guess this is becoming more mindful, you start seeing things as they are in reality. So
you have that drawing with you?
No, even if I could show you, it's dark in my room, so you probably can't see it.
Okay, all right. So so this means when you really in tune up your drawing, right?
When I'm really in tune. I don't know what the question is, Thich.
You don't. I mean that. Okay, let's just put it this way. Let's say if you want to paint or to draw a flower, like you see the flower there, the lotus flower, whichever, right? So at first you look at that and you trace or whichever way you draw, and so let me know when do you have underthinking and when you are aware of your drawing. What is the difference?
I think whenever I'm first drawing it, I try to be more mindful and just draw what I'm actually looking at in real life rather than what I think I'm drawing. So, for example, instead of looking at it as a flower, I would look at it as shapes or as space. And then I'll try to be more analytical if I'm thinking about how am I going to shade it or how am I going to paint certain colors and become a little bit more analytical if I'm trying to mimic reality as I see it. So
that's the analytical thinking, right?
yes, Thầy.
And when you become mindful, when you are mindful of your joint, when's that?
I think I try to be more mindful at the beginning, because then there's a lot more room to readjust and to redo. Because if you try to concentrate too early in the process, then sometimes it might not go the way you wanted it to, and then that it became a waste of time.
You got the points now?
One is observing and one is figuring it out.
Yeah. So what's the difference?
Atlanta, when you're analyzing, you're trying to figure it out, like figure out where it came from, what to do about it, what's going on. Where if you're just being aware, you're just seeing it for what it is. You're just observing. You're not trying to.
So which one is more healthy?
Just having awareness, just seeing things and just leaving them be. Like, don't attach to them, don't take any part in them, just see it and accept it for what you see.
That's the point. That's we train ourselves with our breath, right? When you're really in tune with your typing, right, with your walking, with anything, that is the time you are aware of those things. But when you and like, oh, my step is too short, my sit is too long, and so forth. That's where I'm thinking.
But it's the exact opposite. Everybody always tells you don't use, or they don't tell you, but you just grow up knowing you're supposed to analyze everything. And
when you have analytical thinking, that means the thinking is just it's grazing.
Right.
So when we are aware of those things, we mindful student, eventually the thinking will be settled out. That's the difference. Vivian, do you follow that? Like when you plant a vegetable, right? How can you recognize the difference between using your analytical thinking and your awareness while you planting vegetables?
Yeah, I think this took me a long time to learn, because like in school for farming, like we learned that like plants need certain nutrients, but then when you're actually gardening and you're actually growing things, you can't just really like go by the books of what you know the plant needs. It depends on your soil. It depends on how much sun you get, how much like the where the plant is located. So then when you can learn all these things, but like when like the way to develop, I guess, like a green thumb and to like grow vegetables is really just like by like listening to the plant and seeing it. Like if the leaves are starting to get yellow, like you can go in your analytical brain and think that it needs nitrogen or it needs more water or something. But like if you're adding a bunch of nitrogen, like in the form of like a chicken manure or something, and it's not working, then it could be like a variety of different things. And it's just the process of like experimenting and then like trying over and over and like continually observing, continually like reassessing the situation and like listening to the plant.
So you know, when you put all of your heart, all of your concentration on planting, that's different from planting them in casual way, right? I mean that when you put all of your energy to plant those vegetables, whether it's tomato, whether it's whichever, right, vegetables. So you be in tune with that kind of cultivation, that kind of planting, right? And this be more healthy, right? But if you just plant them in casual way, you put them down with the soil and the water, you may not pay attention on how they grow. It's different story when they grow, right? You understand my points?
Do you mean the difference between planting by the seasons and planting
I'm talking about the state of your mind, not about the season and the thing. If you really put your mind on planting, it's more healthy, right? If you don't pay attention much about planting, if you plant with your emotion, it's different story, right?
like if you really want it to grow versus if you're putting energy to like listen and like watch it grow.
You understand that? That's different. Am I different?
Like
Okay.
really wanting a tomato to grow in the
Or
winter.
if while you planting, your whoever may scold you, right? May say, "Oh, you plant wrongly," and so forth. You may so angry. I'm talking about when your state of mind, the difference of your state of mind when you planting the vegetables, and it may bring the different result. You know, is that right?
like having like a different attachment
Anger
rather
or
than
feeling,
observing.
anger or feeling when you interact with other people while you planting, right? How about and Jimmy, when you working, so most of the time, let's say when you driving and so forth, you recognize the difference between using undertaking to drive, be mindful of driving. What do you think? Is that different?
Yeah, Mo Phật Thầy, what I'm thinking that during like, driving, then I just kind of go with the flow and the traffic and focus on what behind and the front on the side and keep my hand with the wheel. So that's kind of mindset I have to do. Yeah, move on.
Anyway, so you understand the point now, right?
I could really tell what you were talking to Vivian about. I used to go to this restaurant called The Table all the time in Portland, and I could taste like they made a soup, and I could taste like the love that she put into it. Like I could feel like the energy that she had put into that soup. It was really cool. That's the first time I could really tell a difference between, especially when you're cooking and you're feeding the family or whatever. It's very important to be mindful.
Elizabeth, remember, I think we discussed before, right? Remember the 2 bottles test for the children? Remember that, right?
Yes, Thầy.
I told you last time. Is that a surprise to you? 5 of them got the same result. It's a surprise to you?
Not really, considering that there's like 50 kids.
Yeah. Vivian, you will know what we're talking about? No. Yeah, Elizabeth, can you explain to her what we did? What the children did?
Thầy had the kids get empty water bottles and fill them up with rice of equal amounts and kept them at separate areas of their house or their room. And Thầy was trying to get them to talk to one bottle anytime that they're happy or they're having a good day, and talk to the other bottle if they're having a sad day or they're upset about something. And he was trying to demonstrate to them how the bottle that you're going to talk to when you're sad or upset is going to discolor the rice. And so it's just showing like physically how your speech or your intention when you're going about life can soil everything else around you.
And 5 of them got the same result, right? Right. That's just so incredible.
Those are the ones I want to plant in my food.
No, I told them don't open the cap. Yeah. After that, I told them to show to their parents to see.
Wait, what was the result?
You don't understand? Elizabeth, can you explain further?
Like basically the rice changed in color. I didn't see the bottles myself, so I don't know. But according to Thầy,
you can test out. You can test out by yourself, right? Khoa, did you see that? Right.
Well, I didn't do it myself, but
okay.
From what the kids said, I believe them. Like I don't think they'll lie about. I don't think they'll lie about.
Try to see it's different. We see how it's different. So today, that late after that, because I concerned about the spoiled rice. So I told them that from now on, so every time that you happy, you go to bottle number 1 and put 1 corn there.
I heard you telling them.
Remember?
That, yeah.
And if you sad, you go to bottle or cup number 2, put another coin, and you count toward the end of the day, you count toward the end of the week. So see how many coins for number 1, that means happiness. How many coins for number 2, that means sadness. Do they understand? The children, they understand the visual one. My son.
I like the rice better. That's
Yeah, right. That's Vivian. That's why I'm talking about your state of mind may affect the way that you plant the vegetables, right? Not, of course, we of course we count for the weather, we count for the soil, the water, but your state of mind may affect to the way that you plant them.
And the same is true. I've heard of people. I don't plant, but like people with plants and flowers, that if they go and talk to them nicely, and give them love, that they'll grow better.
Yeah,
than if they just kind of
that's a
plant
point.
and let them be.
Yeah, that's point. That's why I try to talk about next. That's after we that contemplate or concentrate about the body, whether the breath, um, things we have to be concerned with our own mind, right? So this is contemplation of the body, the breath, the posture, the clear comprehension, and so forth. This is mindful of the body. Here, while you're sitting down, we come back about that experience, okay, when we talk about the mind. So this is mindfulness of the body. Observe the contact area while you're sitting there. As I told you, you feel happy, you feel comfortable. At first you feel comfortable, right? But later on you may feel heavy, you may feel tired. That's the feeling. Recognize number of touching points. I remember when we do body scan for the children, like Elizabeth, right? When they scan their body, right? Touching point at the back, up their head, the back of their shoulder, and so forth, right? Do not take time. How long it take for each observation? You don't need to take time. Just recognize us. You don't need to say, "Oh, too long for me to recognize us. Too long for me to sit." No, just be observer. If sleepy, change the object of touching and so forth. That's the body. Do not watch. See that the tip of your nose, because you can be a headache easily. Visualize, count, control, depend. Up when you talk about mindfulness, you just recognize what's going on in your body. Eventually, you recognize your own mind. At that moment, you don't need to concentrate much about the breath. That's your choice. If you want to focus your mind on the breath in along, that's fine too. To sharpen your concentration, to sell out your confusion, to sell out your mind. Do not just concentrate on the object without mindfulness. Sometimes, like while you're drinking, you may not pay attention to drinking. That's not mindful. But mindfulness means when you drink, you recognize what you're drinking. Cannot be mindful without triggers. That's recognize us. Let the truth ready appear by themselves. Don't analyze. Like when you plant the tree, when you plant vegetables, when you draw the circle, when we draw the flower, just draw it, right? Just draw it, just plant this with all your concentration, with all your mindfulness way. Whether whether you have wet soil or dry soil, whichever, you just plant out there. Whether, let's say, at first you want to draw the flower, right? So how you draw the flower with your awareness, with your concentration, Elizabeth?
If I were to draw the flower, at least from the way I've been taught, a lot of the times people, when they draw without any experience, that they'll draw outlines of everything. But how I was taught was to draw the shapes of things that are outside of the flower. So like instead of drawing the flower itself, you draw the shapes outside of the flower, the shapes that create the flower.
So you can see the whole spectrum, the whole picture of the
yes,
flower, right? You start the detail first, right?
Yeah, instead of the detail first, because if you concentrate too much on the detail, then you're not going to fully realize the flower as much.
Yeah, that's the beauty. So that's a skill, right? That's a skill for each artist. Okay. All right. So again, let's move on. not to control. That's the point. Don't control the rising and falling of your breath. Just let them go in and out of body naturally. Whether your chest move up and down, your belly and so forth, just let them the way they are. So if we have that kind of training for our body and our mind, when we see things, we don't need to manipulate things. Let's say when I hit the bell, yeah, when I hit the bell, just hit the bell. And when you hear the sound, just hear the sound. I don't need to analyze, this is this sound is so beautiful, or whichever. No, we just recognize the sound. That means awareness. That's different from under the thinkings. So eliminate the thought involvements. That's mean eliminate. That does mean that you block it. If they pop up, that's okay. If they pop up in your mind, that's fine. You don't need to block them out. Be aware of that. You don't need to fight. It's like the way that you start with your training. Be aware of your breath coming and out of your body naturally. You don't need to fight. You need to pour the air in, push the air out. And you do the same thing with your own thought. You do the same thing with your own feeling. Let's say while you're sitting so calm, so peaceful, someone hit the table, boom. So you joke, you say, oh, that's okay. I know that. Otherwise, you say, oh, why is that? Why that person disturbed my concentration? That's undertaken. That's where suffering comes from. That's where problem comes from. Right? So here, just observe the phenomena, the pure process. Just observe whichever way they are, just be observer. Don't manipulate things. Observe the wind elements, the tension, whether it's tension with vibration, motion, and so forth. Put aside idea or concept. Follow the flow of the process of the sensation. That's all. That's so simple, but not easy. You understand, Khóa? Let's say while you're sitting there, let's say you sit there for an hour, you feel tired. What's the reaction?
Well, if I was tired, then I'll probably start maybe falling asleep, like letting my head go, like resting my head, relaxing my head, like go down.
But I mean that let's say if you're so tired, right? You say, oh no, I want to finish up this class early so that I can be free. That's another thinking, right? But if you say, oh, okay, I recognize I'm tired, I recognize that I feel uncomfortable, that's okay. That's different attitude. Right, Vivian? You understand that? Different attitude, right? Different mindset, right? So let's say when you plant tomatoes, for example, in the summer, and of course one plant gives you a lot of fruit, right? Now the plant is give more run fruit. What's your reaction then?
The sound.
Turn on the mic, please.
Ideally, the reaction is like, that's just what it is, and accepting it rather than being attached to the plant that has.
You yell, right? You yell and compare, right? Right. So how about you, Still Thăng Thiền? What do you think? Suppose that you plant 2 tomatoes plant, right? One give you a lot of fruit. One is provide you more a small fruit. What happened then?
Yeah, I think we have to let it be the way it is, and we just accept the way it is without having involving the thinking in it, and we just eat it.
You see that's the point. That's because we stop our breath. We accept our breath, whether it's hot or cold, whether it's long or short, deep or shallow. We can accept that. We train our mind to be acceptant. So in reality, when we deal with situation, it's easy for us to accept things as the way they are, instead of manipulate situation. So when your children, they run around and they yell at each other, There's two different attitude, right? One is, oh, you can accept them because they're the child, they're children, they don't know what they're doing, they just play, they playful. But what happened if you have another attitude? Oh no, they mess up my house, they made a lot of noises and so forth. That's different attitude, different mindset, right? So which one bring more suffering?
The one where you're trying to control them.
Yeah.
And two, I find that it's always me and my state of being. Like if they do it one day, I might be okay with it. And then the next time I come in the room, I'm screaming my head off. And it's not them. They haven't changed. It's me, my tolerance level.
Yeah. So that's just so important. That's why, you see that the mind training is so important for us to observe our breath, observe our body, and the next step, again, to observe our feeling. This step by step. So that's why we have walking meditation, sitting meditation, or standing meditation, or lying down meditation. That's here. That's called walking meditation. Here, seeing, thinking, pain, hearing, smelling. So that's the circle of walking meditation. Yeah. You did. You do every time here, right? We did that last time, right? When you, I don't know, probably not, right? I guide my student. So when you walk in the mindful way. That means whichever pace you want to walk, that's mindfulness. If you calculate, if you say, "Oh, my walk is so slow, my walk is so fast," and so forth, that you let the attitude thinking to control your mind. If you walk in the natural way, oh, quick, you walk quicker or slow, that's okay. That's fine. You accept that. But remember, could you observe how people walk on the street? You know how, Alan?
But watching them?
Uh-huh. How do they walk on the street? You know how?
How do they walk?
Mm-hmm. How is that?
Maybe fast or slow, or
do they know that they're walking?
No, most time they just go.
How are you, Elizabeth? When you just sit in your classroom and look outdoor, if you observe your student walking around the campus, what do you think? Do they know they're walking, or they don't know? What do you think?
I don't think they're really knowing that they're walking.
Why
Most of the time, it depends on the time of day. They're either trying to go back to their dorm, or to go get lunch, or to not be late for their class.
In general,
I don't think anybody's really aware of how they're walking.
Why is that?
They're too occupied with other things.
That's a point. Yeah. Remember, I told you in one of my mindfulness course, I took my student to our school cafeterias. So I asked them to take a paper and be observer to observe how the students were eating around them. Guess what happened, Vivian? Can you guess what happened after the observation? What do you think?
Like people on their phones, or people reading books, or people doing other
while
things
they're eating, right?
besides. Yeah.
So yes, it's pretty rare for some student to sit and eat in mindful way. It's pretty rare, probably less than 1%. That's mean 99% of students while they're eating, they're talking, while eating, they watch movie, while eating, they text, to do the texting, while eating, they send their email, and so all kind of activities while they eating. Sometimes it's happened to us. Sometimes we put the food into our mouth. We don't pay attention about what kind of food that we put. We know that probably the chip, the hamburger, or whichever. And we just try to swallow down. That's all. And that's happened. That happened to us. I mean, that's why. Is that healthy? While you eating, but you don't know what you eat. It's healthy.
No.
Why not?
Because sometimes, like if if you stay home a lot, like around these times, like since like everyone's quarantined, you could like be hungry, so you find something to eat, and you just find like junk food around your house, and you wouldn't really care what you're eating, and you wouldn't really think about it because you're hungry. And it could the more you eat it, the more you like your body might want it, so it'll be bad for you.
Yeah, and Jimmy, what do you think about your children, your two boys, if they eat and they keep watch movie and so forth? What do you think, and Jimmy?
Yeah, more Phật thầy. I was gladly that they didn't do that during eating. I'm trying to put it, when you eat, just focus on the eating and then put everything away so you can taste your food while you eat. You can, yeah, more Phật.
Elizabeth, which one is more healthy? Eating and watching movie or eating with your mindfulness? What do you think?
I think
Which one is more healthy?
eating with your mindfulness, because sometimes when you get bored and you don't have anything to do, that's when you start eating because for the sake of eating and for something to do.
When you get bored.
Yes. Like I'm always very guilty of watching movies or watching shows when I'm eating. Like if I'm alone, but if I'm with somebody, then I just try to focus on eating my food.
It's become a habit, right?
Yes, Tai.
Build up. That build up habit. How about you, Thân Thiện? At work, while you eating, you talking, or it's easy for you to concentrate while you eating? You focus on your eating.
At work, I just want to eat really quick, so that I can do something like chanting. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, this is feel healthy if we know what we put into our mouth, and yeah, in any circumstances, that's why mindfulness practice is so healthy for us.
Do you
Otherwise,
think you get more nutrition out of your food if you focus on what you're eating rather than just?
what do you think?
Probably so. I would think.
Why
so.
is that?
Because you're more being a part of, you're more connected to it. You're more.
And you choose the food more carefully instead of dumb down there for your stomach to do the work. It makes sense, Vivian. This happened, right?
My little brother is the slowest
Really?
eater I've ever met. And he just sits there and he eats and he stares off and he chews for like 5 minutes each bite. And it almost hurts me to watch him.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it's different. It's mostly just because it's different.
Younger brother or older brother?
Younger
He's
brother.
mindful, right? Then that's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have that kind of practice then. Anyway, time is up. So I hope that that good lesson for us. Khóa, when you eat, get focused on your eating. Don't watch movie. Don't play games. Right? Don't text to your friends. Get focused on your food. It's more healthy. Right? You choose carefully. You swallow down. You know what you swallow down. You know when you chew carefully, you mess up with your saliva. Right? This is more healthy. Right? And especially it's helpful for your digestion, right? Anyway, okay, so let's finish up today then. All right, so thank you. So see you next Friday then. Okay, thank you.
Okay.